So we're here now.
Yes. I don't know, no idea what happened, but I just kept getting the same message, invalid link,
Yeah,
and
it is what it is. I'll have a chat with them and sort it out. But we're here
yeah,
now. Apologies for the kerfuffle. We're here now. I appreciate you coming on.
that's right. What we're going to talk about?
So I found your interview very interesting on the you should have been here last week. So like the Edinburgh Fringe about comedians, and yeah, I'm intrigued to see what your thoughts are because like the Fringe. I've had a lot of different people here on the podcast talking about the Fringe. I had Sarah Louise Young, Peter
Oh yeah.
Buckley Hill, of course, Luke Meredith. I think I'll look to get on Alex Petty as well, and a few others. But yeah, it's a great festival. I see a lot of great things, but I think a lot of people have been saying that it's like last year was quite a difficult one. Did you find that as well?
What kind of define difficult? It's just the fringe is what we've allowed it to become. Um, the fringe society has just become this megalomaniacal. God, it's like Big Brother. The last director of the Fringe, just she couldn't get enough power into the society, and the current director is I think even more power hungry. They spend millions of pounds on, I don't know, a Fringe Central so that people can have hugging workshops and talk about the feelings. And it's, the fringe, by definition, is the raggedy bit round the edge of the festival. That's what it was when it started. That is why it was started. And now it's an industrial workshop. It's, people used to go there. Um, what was it? Uh, to get laid, to get famous, and to get drunk. That was the three. That was the three aims, and that's absolutely fine. But now it's an industry. Everyone's got a PR, everyone's got a promoter, and it's become much of it has become a playground for people with money.
Hmm.
And it should never, ever be that. And Peter Buckley Hill is kind of the one good guy in this. There is people, I think some people find Peter uh, difficult to deal with. He's a recalcitrant old bugger, but he is one of the most moral people I know. If he says something, he means it. And if he means it, he sticks to it. So the PBH's free fringe has not changed over the years. It hasn't gone, oh, well, actually, um, we'd get more people in if we did this, that, and the next thing. He's had venues nicked off him by people who were happy to pay money. It, it's it is still the place that gives, kind of absolute beginners as much of a chance as they can have now in a fringe where, oh, the fringe society gets to say, oh, this person, Jamie Smartington Ponce is doing a one-man show about uh, leather goods. We think you should get a grant of £2,000. There's kind of strange, not very fairly handed out grants all over the place. That this is going to be my last year.
Oh,
Um, I don't like industry, and it's industry. And the good guys have less and less of a chance. And it's not a fringe. I'm a big fan of, the little guy, the little venue, the um, small guy fighting against all odds. And now the odds are just so skewed. Money talks louder than anything at the fringe. Anything. In Edinburgh itself, they are money grabbing bastards, a lot of them, because you've only got to see the number of people who say, oh, can't go to Edinburgh this year, accommodation costs. Now, much as I would like to blame everything that's bad on the Fringe Society, that is nothing to do with them. That is to do with Edinburgh people out to make a quick buck. Kind of why not? But on the other hand, they still bang on about the artistic wonderfulness of the Fringe. And it's not really artistically wonderful. It's a cash cow, a great big fat and getting fatter cash cow. And that's got no attraction for me. Did that answer your question?
Very, very, very candidly, yes. Um, it is but that's so. This is your last fringe. This is this.
Last Fringe.
Oh God, bloody hell!
And I'm only going up, I think, for 2 weeks, partly because I can't afford the accommodation, and partly because been scouring the various programs, and quite frankly, I don't care what acronymic condition you think you have. I'm not interested. It looks, just on doing some number crunching, that uh, I would say 60% of the comics on the Fringe are neurodiverse.
What?
Now, just mathematically, 60% can't be neurodiverse, because if you're, divergent, you're diverging from the norm. And if there's 60% are neurodivergent, then you're getting close to being the norm. And I just, somewhere along the line, it might be a generational thing. If so, I don't know what can be done about it. Wait for a new generation to wise the fuck up. But comics used to do comedy. And maybe they were angry. Maybe they were weird. Maybe they were a lot of things. But now, I flick through A, the program, or B, press releases that I get from dozens of PR people. And it's all about, this is the story of my story. Oh, I had a terrible childhood. Oh, I had a wonderful childhood, but I didn't understand how wonderful it was. Oh, I get headaches. Oh, I don't like crowds. Oh, I don't care. I really don't give a fuck unless you make it funny. You're in the comedy section. You're not in the let's talk about me section. And there's so little kind of pure comedy around, or predominantly comedy around, that maybe they need to make a new section of the brochure. Let's talk about me. And I don't care.
So, with you not going to the fringe from next year, wh- are you planning to go to other comedy festivals, like ones in the States or ones in Europe? Because I know that in America, I heard this from one of the comics when I told them apparently the standard procedure there is they have to pay to take part, but you still might not take part, but you still have to pay it, and it's funded by
Yeah,
people
pay
just
to play.
applying.
Pay to play. It's what I would be interested in doing, but nobody's interested in publishing really, is to go around the small festivals. There are a lot of tiny festivals in this country. Berwick-on-Tweed, Paisley, every place, not every place, but a lot of places have small festivals. They might only last a weekend. They certainly don't, take over a city with hundreds of PR people. I would be very interested in that kind of grassroots comedy.
Okay. Ah,
But I will, I just think the way the industry is going, everybody and access to a screen, albeit a small screen, is there for everyone now. So everyone's got their bloody comedy special on YouTube. And for me, you've been doing like 2 open spots and a competition. Next thing you know, oh, he's got a comedy special. I'm interested in seeing live comedy, which is a different art, a different skill. And if comedy is all going on screen, whatever size that screen is, I'm very much of the, you need to smell the fear. You need to see the sweat. You need to see the comic work. You need to see the comic's relationship with the audience and everything on screen. I used to be television director and producer. You could make you could make a pig in a sack look like the most wonderful comic with careful editing.
mm,
Um, I think it's sad that generation on generation, the screen has taken over as, the place to be. And anyone without a Live at the Apollo credit is probably not worth seeing. And, the reason I come back is that there are still people there at the Fringe doing weird stuff and new stuff and risky stuff. And most of them, pretty much all of them, you'll find on the Free Fringe. And that's why I come back and I go to the Free Fringe. And I have a rule. I'm not going to go and see anyone's show if the ticket costs more than £10.
mm.
Um, and I'm delighted to say that wipes out quite a lot of comics. I just think, the Fringe is not a Fringe anymore. I loved the Fringe. Loved the Fringe. And I'm sad that it's very sick and I think it's on its deathbed.
Ivor Dembina, I had a quick chat with him, and he says that
Oh, great guy.
I'm very knowledgeable about, but he said to me, like in a private chat with me, him and me, but I don't think he's bothered about this coming out. I think Ivor's quite a straight right person. He says what he thinks, but he says that it's had its day.
Yep. I mean, Ivor knows what he's talking about. And it was a place. It started as a place for the outsiders, the people that couldn't get invited to the posh people's party. And now it's something very different and very horrible. And I, as I say, I go because I'm lucky enough that I've been there so long that people recognize my name and I can help people. Obviously not if they're shit, but I'll go and see, weird shows and little shows and free shows. And shows that aren't getting any notice.
One of the things that is the big shame is that I hear this all the time, and you probably hear this a lot, but your review with Robin Grainger helped save his fringe, didn't it? When it was
Uh,
just, I believe it was just you were by yourself, and
yeah. Well, I didn't, it wasn't a review. What it was, I was standing outside waiting to go in to see another show, and I heard Robin, and he was absolutely, as we say in Scotland, he was giving it loudly. He was, really giving it all he had. And I thought, he's not really getting anything back. And some of this is good stuff. So when the doors opened, one person came out. And I thought, number one, it sounded like really pretty good stuff. Number two, that is a proper performer. To give it his all for one person in the audience, that was so impressive. And at the Fringe, people who've done two open spots in a competition are very quick to go, oh, there was only two people turned up, so I cancelled the show. How fucking dare they? So I wrote a piece about Robin, and loads of people started turning up, which is great and which is well deserved. And these are exactly the kind of people that should be supported.
so, may I ask, how many years have you been at the Fringe Hall? So 20, 30 years?
I My first year of reviewing was 1999,
Okay, okay.
and it was radically different, and loads of people who are really big now were there and in tiny venues, and people didn't have PRs and whatnot. It was fun, is what it was. It was fun, and whatever it is now, it's not fun.
Hmm. It's all about. I mean, I've s- I have I know a couple of Gole clowns who, well, they spent the PR that they got signed because of the Fringe. But it's what's what were the performers like then? So when you started, were they a lot more risque? And then as it got to like 2010s, when I heard that Avalon were the first sort of big comedy agency to get
Avalon,
involved.
Avalon came up and off the curb, and Avalon. I remember when they came up, because I was actually doing a show, um, and these were sorry, that was the days when I letrasetted my own posters, and we printed them out, photocopied them on A4, and we we were out in the middle of the night fly posting. And I remember putting one of our A4 posters over David Baddiel's big toe and being kind of ever so slightly threatened by a large man who was one of Avalon's poster people. But it was so much more relaxed. It was, there wasn't the horrendous, just wasn't any of the nastiness. And maybe that was because there weren't the promoters, I didn't know anybody with PR. There was each of the big venues had a press office, and that was kind of it. But that, let's say, Avalon came, and they had Baddiel and Newman, and then off the curb came, and there was there was a kind of division. You were either in the big league comedy or You were scrabbling around in the smaller venues. But it was, people were much more cooperative. People helped each other, which is not a common thing for comics to do. But it's just, I think in the uh, like teens from 2010 upwards, it's got, I don't know, I don't think there was one year when it all went horribly wrong, but it's just got, well, in my opinion, worse and worse and worse and worse. And the advent of having access to, your own internet channel, so you can be a star of your own making kind of thing. And you've got, and then all the websites that review, it used to be, all the reviews used to be print, and were few and far between. And now there's all the different websites, and it's just, to say, it's not a fringe, and I think it's sad. I think it's really, really sad.
I heard one thing from Carl Legacy's going there 8 years. He's, you may roast me for this, but he says, so that was quite strong worded. He says, with the downfall of the paid fringe and the shit acts, it helps supporting acts like him with the, he makes a proper cash grab during the fringe. He said, like,
Uh-huh.
with the paid fringe getting more and more expensive, it's helped him and people in the free fringe get more and more audience and build a big
Yeah,
crowd.
I mean that that may well be, and I do think that's. I think that. Hang on, just need to move. I think that's good. It's obviously not good for people that are paying an absolute bloody fortune for their venues and whatnot. And I mean, there's all this uh, bloody shite put out by the Fringe Society about it being the world's largest open access forum for the. It's not open access. Every single venue is curated. You can't just walk up and do, first come, first served. I'd like to do a show. Oh, there you go. You apply, you send all the bumf, and then the people who run the venues decide who gets to play in their venue, and in many cases pay them large amounts of money. It is not open access. And the chances nowadays of being able to set up, like Bob's Blunderbuss was uh, a great little venue that just came up, parked at the underpass up at Bristol Square, and ooh, look, we've got a venue. But it's very difficult to do that, and you have to want to do it a lot, and you have to have a bit of a following. But the chances of anyone being able to wander into a pub and say, I'd like to do some shows here, and the pub saying no problem, are minimal, because, well established, like Peter Buckley Hill's Free Fringe, they're having their venues taken away from them all the time because people come who can offer money. And it's as I say, money is talking more and more and more and more, which is possibly, um, you know, uh, just the way of the world. But don't call it a fringe. Don't call it a fringe. It's not a fringe.
What are your thoughts on what acts need to do now with the fringe getting as it is to try and get discovered, apart from social media and being funny and being good and unique and original?
I kind of This is going to sound harsh. Don't care.
Oh,
Be, be good. If you're a comic, be funny. Um, it seems that online is the way to get noticed, which is tragic, because TV execs are lazy arseholes a lot of the time. They don't want to go out to the clubs. They don't want to do anything. So I don't really know. I think comedy is now quite a horrible business, and it is a business. And really, I would say, unless it's the only thing in your heart that you need to do, find another job.
what?
Or do it on the side. Get a proper job, do it on the side. Because it's just now, comedy was never meant to be like an industry. And now, if you look at the very successful stand-up comics, and look what television's churning out. They're doing panel shows, game shows. Nobody really wants just stand-up. It's everybody, you've got to add in gimmicks, variety shows, whatever. Nothing bad with that. But I loved comedy when it did something. I loved comedy when we had the angry young men and comedy was changing the world. And nobody's interested, well, very few are into, there are comics like, Kate Smurthwaite, Mark Thomas, who are still interested in changing the world, but almost nobody else is, because they might upset someone.
Yeah. Eddie Brimson said something about comics. He says comics follow what's a popular belief. So like
Yeah.
before when they were saying, "Oh, you can't say this." Now that's starting to switch around a bit. He says, "Oh no, you can say this and that." And but in the green rooms, they'll be completely different to what they spout on stage. They
Oh, of
say,
course. Of course. And I'm a big fan of honesty, huge fan of honesty. And again, there's not, I don't know. Of course, you want to get ahead, do whatever it takes, but that's not really an industry I want to be involved in. And it must be more difficult um, just now because everything upsets everybody. Everybody's offended by in audiences. Everybody's offended by everything, and it says. I think it was. I don't know. I think it was maybe Ricky Gervais that said, "Offense is not something that the comic does. The offense is something that the audience takes, and if they want to take it, then hell mend them." But it's people, and I loathe that. You know, stand up should be edgy, and I just, I'm sad. I'm sad. And if you want to see what I'm sad about writ large, then probably go and try and see as many shows as you can in Edinburgh.
"Oh, whoa." But having said all that, there must be some. You mentioned before that there's still lots of people taking risks and all that, but who are like actually seen, despite with all these things going on, like have made you decide to still go up this year? Like who are like in particular you that are like creative? I know there's a Jerry Sadowitz. He offends a lot of people, but what he's done is he's built his own audience doing what he loves.
completely. I mean, really, I just I decided to go largely because I wanted to support the free fringe. I'm not expecting particularly to be blown away by anything or anybody. What I am hoping is that I might see something interesting or new, or I mean, I'm avoiding anything with ADHD in the blurb, which is great because it wipes out, as I say, about 60% of the shows in the brochure. But and everything that includes word trauma, it's so comedy has become so self-obsessed. You know, me, now more about me. Did I mention me? And I'm not interested. So, you know, there are people like Phil Ellis who's doing one crazy show at the beginning of the festival and at the Fringe, and then he's doing his new stand-up show later on. The Duncan brothers are there, who are kind of clowning geniuses. I want to go and see. As I say, I'd love to see something new, and I'd love to see something that delights me. We'll see.
What do you think? So, what kind of comic do you think will go and do that? You say someone that's brave, someone that's very authentic to be themselves, someone that's willing to offend, someone that doesn't care about approval. What kind of comic do you think that you've come on over the years that emphasizes what a great like comedy show and a great yeah what you'd be looking for in a comedy
I
show?
mean, everybody's, you know, uh, honesty, as I keep saying, honesty, risk, and intelligence. Um, I think it has to happen. There are people who do their shows, I don't know, dressed as a banana and strip off halfway through because they want to use that as a gimmick. I think the minute you try, you start losing the magic. It's I do think a lot of people are born funny. And there are some, you know, I think then there are the incredibly clever people like Simon Day, like, you know, Jimmy Carr, not that he's up there this year. Um, it's comedy is a broad church, and it's just that it seems to be becoming narrower, certainly in Edinburgh. I think maybe because people who really should not be doing an hour are doing an hour.
Ah,
So instead of being funny for an hour, they're packing it with dull anecdotes about their ADHD or how someone looked funnily at them when they were in school and they now have PTSD. It's kind of personal padding, and that's not comedy. It might maybe it's storytelling, but they put themselves in the comedy section. You know, I think they should maybe have a think about that. But what they know is that being in the comedy section sells them.
hmm.
Being in the storytelling section or spoken word, well, not. Not everything is comedy just because you call it comedy.
So I hope you don't mind me asking it. So you mentioned that the Duncan brothers, and who was the other? Phil Ellis.
Phil Ellis is very
What
funny.
what is it about them that you're like,
They have all both of them. They have funny bones. They have funny bones. Phil Ellis and they can't not be funny. Even if you're just talking to them, they're funny. And Phil is, he's doing this crazy show called Funs and Games, which is extremely odd. It's like a children's show for grown-ups. And when he did it the first time, the first year, it was, quite a big risk because people could just have gone, this is just silly. But it was done so well, it became something of a cult. Duncan Brothers have turned being dumb into a comedic art form. They're basically clowns, kind of. Uh, there's at the other end of the scale, there are people like, Simon Day, who's unbelievably clever, kind of, and funny. And there's people like Trevor Locke, who over the years has become, a kind of master of audience manipulation. He basically his audience are his fodder, and he does I think he's doing it again this year, a show called Let's Start a Cult. And if Trevor ever turned to the dark side, I think we'd all be in great trouble.
hmm,
But it's I say I'm not going to I'm not going to any work in progress. I think if you're going to charge me to come in, I don't want to see you rehearse.
hmm.
And I'm trying to see people that I don't know and hope that some of them are good.
Is so apart from like an ADHD and the trauma, like your red flags and watching a show,
Yep.
what are things that you've noticed over the years that so I notice sometimes when I run a gig or when I see certain comics, you can often sometimes tell if a venue's going to be bad or if an act's got that special something over a lot of other people in the bill. Like I noticed that acts that have something they're often a bit more confident. They got a uniqueness about them, presence. But what about from yourself? Like when you're looking through the brochure, what are things that you see that spots that, oh, this is something different and this is going to be shit? And what about things when you go into a show? Can you pick up sometimes whether it's going to be good or bad?
No, I mean you really, anyone who starts off their show with a lot of really cheap, bad audience interaction irritates me because they're just playing for time. And audience interaction is a skill. So don't try it if you don't have that skill. Because it's just irritating. People, you have to sell yourself. People, if you are having your leg amputated and the surgeon came into the operating theatre looking a bit nervous and worried, you'd think, shit, I don't want this surgeon. And it's the same with a comic. You have to sell yourself. The audience have to know that you're confident you can make them laugh. And, that's the first thing. And don't, I would say, unless you are brilliant, don't attack your audience and don't blame your audience. You get a lot of, you hear a lot of comments going, oh my God, they were terrible. No, an audience can't be terrible. They've paid. They've come along. They've taken time out of their lives to come and see you. You can be terrible, or you can be the wrong comic for them. But, that's up to you when when you can see you're starting to die horribly. Tweak what you're doing a bit. You're meant to be the professional.
Hmm. It's bloody easy, isn't it, to deflect and blame it on someone else when.
Oh, yes. Because comics are, generally speaking, what you have to be quite egotistical. Otherwise, you'd never get up in front of a room full of people on a stage and think you were worth it. You have to think you're funnier and better than them.
Hmm.
But now, listen, I'm really sorry, but I've got to go just in a few minutes.
Yeah, that's fine. So if you're going to give one, so we mentioned it before, but for anyone that's listening right now and they're looking to do comedy or do the fringe, what would you say to them apart from what we've already just said? What's one piece of advice you'd give them?
If you're going to go and do the fringe, I would kind of say don't, but go to the free fringe. Definitely go to the free fringe. Make sure you've got a proper hour, or do a split bill with someone else, because very few people on their first attempt have got a full hour. So find someone else who can, in a clever way, split a bill with you, or get a half-hour slot, which I know is not easy to do, but or do a split bill that's more than two people. I don't know, baldies to laugh at with three other bald comics. But don't just let your ego drive you and start printing the posters now,
Okay.
and then complain that nobody came, because it's on you.
Okay. And if anyone wants to find out about you, where do they go?
Oh my God. Buy me a drink, I'll tell you everything.
Okay. Then, guys, you know where to go with Kate if you want to get everything. Get her a pint of Guinness, okay?
That's it. No, 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 no. I'm not a Guinness drinker. Tequila. I love a tequila.
Okay, get her tequila, okay? Get her deep fried Mars bar and a deep fried pizza as well.
You are such. You see, that's racist.
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
offended
I'm
now.
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You English bastard.
I'm sorry.
Not everything in Scotland is deep fried.
I'm,
You
so-
bastard. I'm glad you didn't say that at the beginning.
I'm
You
very
wouldn't have got an
sorry.
interview.
I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. I'm sorry.
No, you're not. You are a racist English person. Deep fried. I mean, I have to say,
Oh,
absolutely fucking love deep fried pizza. And before you make fun of it, you should try it.
I've had deep fried Mars bar and it is delicious.
Well, there you go.
I want to get the pizza.
It's just wonderful. Just wonderful. But yeah, there we go. Are you going up to Edinburgh?
Uh, Not this, definitely not this year. I will probably go the year after. I don't know. I may go to watch or just do a compilation ship. I won't do anything serious, I don't think. But
Well, see what you think. Maybe see you next. Well, I'm not going to be doing anything of a reviewing nature next year, but good luck.
thank you. And
All right. Thanks a lot.
thanks, Colin.